What's going on, guys? Mario Meduni here. I'm real happy to make this video. This is about our biggest month we did in drop shipping about a year ago. And I'm going to go over pretty much everything but the product. I'm going to go over the good, the bad, the ugly, all the things that went right, all the things that went kind of wrong, and the lessons I learned from them, and lessons that maybe you're in the middle of your big winner right now, or maybe you're on the verge of making a big winner, and here's some things that might help you maximize the dollars and minimize the stress. Okay, so here, let's just go ahead and refresh this so I'm not just grabbing some random photo off the internet here. Let it do its thing. Take a minute. Okay, so let's just kind of go through the chart here. So we were doing Instagram traffic. This is January 2017, and we had a great conversion rate, about 6%. Low average order value. Okay, so that was working really well on Instagram at the time. Offering a nice looking product for a very inexpensive price. We still had plenty of profit margin. Our customer acquisition was only $2 to $3. And cost of goods was about $3.50 plus Shopify charges and everything else. So basically, $10, $10 in cost. So we were able to put well over $100,000 in the bank, which was awesome, and life changing. Made me quit my job. So let's take a look at this. So we're going along. We're having a nice run here. I got some 10K days at the beginning of January. I love January. I love Q1 for impulse type items because in Q4, every Q4 ads are extremely expensive. Okay, so if you have the right strategy, you can make a ton of money in Q4. But if you have a winner in Q1, you can get ads for super cheap, right? So we're cranking along. We're doing pretty good. And then I'm starting to get a couple lower days here, and then a customer tags us in a photo, and it's just a beautiful photo. This is right when a new iPhone had come out, and the filters were just gorgeous and everything. And so we went from using AliExpress images of this item. I printed them up and turned them into ads. But then we went from using that to this beautiful photo he sent. So the next day, I didn't change ad spend at all, but I did send out an email with that image, and we changed the image in the ads. And you can see we doubled overnight with the same cost. So our ROI was kicking butt. So then I just went and cranked that ad spend. I went ahead and doubled that. And you can see we started doing some 20 grand days, which was very, very cool. And, we were able to do 10, 15, 20 grand days for the rest of January until, look at this. Somebody might recognize what happens here. What do you think happened here with Facebook ads? This is when, halfway through the day here, the old ad account suspension happened. This is the first time this has happened to me, and we were not prepared for that. So I'm going to go ahead and kind of go through a couple more things about that. And I hope you guys learned a ton from it. I just thought I'd go ahead and let you look at a couple more stats here. So you can see most of the sales were in the U.S. Germany we did extremely well with. This was purely the pixel just finding people with worldwide targeting, excluding some of the higher risk countries and countries we were having problems with one way or another. You can see down here it's almost entirely Instagram. We did some retargeting on Facebook, but front of funnel Facebook traffic just wasn't converting like Instagram traffic was. The ad was just very native to Instagram. It just had a real good Instagram feel. Our market was on Instagram. It was a proven product that was doing well, being sold differently on Facebook and Google as well. But we sold it a little differently, and we really had great imagery, and we sold it harder, and we sold it on Instagram. And it's one of my favorite ways to find success is to take something that's a winning product and move it over to a different platform and sell it in a different way. Perfect example is what I'm really excited about right now is, I have a couple drop shipping stores that I'm using Pinterest traffic for primarily. And the nice thing about Pinterest is you don't want to be the low price. You want to be the high price. You want to get as low price traffic as possible and a beautiful imagery, but you want to charge more than everybody else, in my opinion, because of the demographic you're going after. Plus, Russell Brunson was just talking about in his Funnel Hacking Live, there's no advantage to being the second lowest price. So if you can't be the lowest price and go with that, then differentiate yourself in some way or another. One way that I love differentiating a company is better imagery, better branding, and kind of give away a real golden nugget here. If you're donating a portion of your proceeds to a cause, a charity, or what have you, then you really automatically have a brand image, and your conversion rates will go up, and people are buying into your movement as much as they're buying into the product they want to get. So your return rates are going to be a lot less, even if they don't like the product, even if they get it slow. People are just sort of happy that they contributed to something, especially if you have really good email sequence and a good relationship building through your social media. But I digress. So let's look into all the kind of things that went right for us in this awesome month, and some of the things that went wrong. Okay, first, the good. As I talked about already, we had an image from AliExpress. We switched that over to this awesome customer photo, and we went that direction from there forward with a couple other awesome photos with different products, and with that hero of a product. Okay, we actually changed our image, our call to action on the ads themselves, made them a lot less pushy, made them a little more subtle, and just let the image kind of carry it. And this was a fashion type item, so I think that the subtlety of the rewording of the call to action really made people just want to go click on it and check it out, and just really feature the image instead of the like in your face call to action kind of thing, right? Had awesome email off of this. You saw that, and we were able to make a couple grand real quick off an email, which was really cool for a newer store, especially with low ticket items like this, especially emailing people from Instagram who don't necessarily always open their emails. The millennial generation, and studies have been done, they don't necessarily open their emails as much, but what emails they do open are the abandoned cart sequence, especially if you can do it very quickly. Really speed up your abandoned carts, hit them with 3 or 4 emails, text messages, what have you, within the first day or two. And I call this the FOMO factor. The fear of missing out is sort of ingrained into the social media culture, millennial culture. I'm on the upper age limit of that, very, very much on the upper age limit of that. I think I may technically be 1 year into the cusp of being a millennial. And the so abandoned cart emails, abandoned cart sequences, extremely important on Instagram. But your emails might not be as valuable as emails you've gotten from older people on Facebook and Pinterest. Okay. So what else went right about this month for us? Okay. So we were able to scale from doing $4,000 a day to 20 grand a day overnight, which was awesome. Able to put some real money in the bank, really around 120. Could have been 100, could have been 150. I'm not quite sure. Another thing that was really awesome is we had a great supplier, and our delivery times were on point. So our returns were not bad at all. The only real returns were mainly just like people sending a picture that the item was broken, and we just mail them out another one. So the supplier was getting these things out, and they had a ton of it, and they were just getting them out on an average of customers were getting their stuff within 8 days, which was really cool. The timing was great because it was January, as I mentioned before. So that's a great time to go aggressive with your ad spend versus Q4 if you have a winter in January. Things are going to kind of line up for you. As kind of a side note, Christmas was an awesome day for us, the Christmas prior to that. And what happened was I had a bunch of really high budget manual bidding campaigns with really low bids that would normally just, spend a few $100, but get a really nice high return of like 8 or 9x. So I just let those things ride, because, whenever I would get ad spend, I'd get such a good ROI on them. But on Christmas, and I'm thinking what happened is all the larger brands, all their ad budget was kind of exhausted for the year. And so I woke up on Christmas to 10x return. It's been $1,000 or so in ads, and we had 12 grand in sales. So, Merry Christmas that year. That was awesome. Let's see, what else was working in my favor? My business partner, kicked butt. He had great credit. My credit was kind of crappy. And he was really good on the phone with banks, with credit card companies, with Shopify payments, with PayPal. And, I didn't have to stress that kind of stuff. I think PayPal had about 100 grand of our money on hold for, they wanted to hold it for, months and months. He got it down to like a 1 month hold and got the PayPal reserve up to 250K we could process in a month before any sort of hold. So he kicked butt on the phone with them. Shopify payments did the old, I don't know if it was a 10 or a 25% hold for a few months, which was fine because, whether it was in that bank account or our bank account, we didn't need to spend that money right away. We also had a great team of VAs who had worked for American Express before, in customer service. So one of our VAs in particular was just kicking butt and sort of running everybody in her family and running our customer service for us. Okay. All right, let's switch over to some stuff that kind of went bad for us that month. Okay, so our Facebook account got disabled about at the end of January for, they said it was for bad feedback, even though our relevancy score was super high. I think what happens if you're just running one ad, you're going to have a lot of positive feedback and you're going to have a lot of negative feedback. So I know a lot of people will cycle through running multiple ads for multiple ad accounts. One of the biggest projects I was on is a store that does 20 million plus a year, and they're running 5 or 6 different ad accounts through a white labeled ad agency in case anything goes wrong with one ad account or another. Also, you seem to get better, higher, or not higher, but lower cost per customer acquisition running multiple ad accounts versus, let's say you had an ad account you wanted to spend 20 grand a day on. Not that I got to that level with this, but I've seen it in bigger projects. You're probably going to do better having 4 accounts at 5 grand a day than getting your limit raised to 20 grand on one account. So that's probably an applicable tip for somebody sometime that watches this, but maybe they already know that. So back to the things that went wrong for us that month. We didn't have any sort of backup ad account set up on the store. It was our first big winning month, and or any sort of other pixels or anything. So when we went down, right? And even when we got the ad account back up, out of pure inexperience, we used the same credit card in the same ad account. And what happens is your quality score for your Facebook account, your ad account, your credit card, your IP, basically everything, your computer, everything sort of related to you that's trackable. Facebook's still going to let you operate, but they're gonna double your customer acquisition cost. So we started making half as much money or a third as much profit, which was still profit and plenty of money, and it was all great. But it wasn't we weren't printing money at the same rate we were when things had never been disabled, right? Another thing is we didn't do any sort of post-purchase upsells. We really should have had some sort of cart hook or OCU going on in there, or running some of the traffic to ClickFunnels or something like that. We did have an upsell automated through Conversio emails, and that got us an extra 5% revenue. So at least we had some post-purchase stuff in place. But if I had that sort of month right now, I'd definitely get some sort of post-purchase sequence going in there. Okay. And, here's really kind of like where we went wrong. This could have all been just a learning experience, and we could have done quick fixes for all of this. But, emotionally, when you went from having 20 grand days and 6 grand profit a day to just doing nothing and breaking even, it was a big kick in the stomach, right? So it took about 2 weeks for me to really kind of take all the actions I needed to take. I just sort of kept sending emails to Facebook asking them to turn us back on, when there's a lot of other things I could have done. I could have made another Shopify store. I could have run it through a ClickFunnel. I could have, made new ad accounts, run new ad accounts, new credit cards. So a lot more actions we could have taken. We could have gone ham on Instagram influencers and just done 5-10 grand days with that. There's a lot of things we could have done. We did purchase the rights to our best image, but what we didn't do, we had a contract with the individual who took the picture, but we didn't file copyright on that, so we weren't able to really go after people who were copying our website. Everybody was copying our website, our copy, our logo, having .coms that are very similar to our logo and everything. I mean, at the time, this was one of the biggest selling things on Instagram. We were getting 4 million ad impressions a day, and Shopify had even called us up and said, I think this month you guys might be the fastest growing store we have, which might have been them just blowing smoke to get us to try to buy Shopify Plus, but I kind of believe it's probably true for that month. So in future endeavors, when I hit these kind of numbers, going to have sort of redundant backups in place, and just a much deeper understanding of how to maximize your success when you hit a winner. You really want to just put as much in the bank as possible and really make the most out of it, right? So we did go on to do another 500,000 in this product at a lower profit margin, which is fine. You don't have to be all home runs, but that was pretty respectable. We also bought a store for only $1,000, which is a really good looking store, and it was selling very similar items to this, to the same sort of niche, and which is just basically the men's niche on Instagram. And we did 250,000 sales on that store, and it was a profitable store, but the margins weren't phenomenal. And I think a lot of that had to do with the fact that we were using the same business manager, different ad account, same business manager, same credit card from the same internet connection and all that. So I think Facebook was sort of putting a governor on our profitability, which is something I didn't really understand at the time, but now I do, and now some of you do after hearing this, and a lot of you probably understood this already, right? And so all in all, it was a big winner, life changer. I was able to quit my job when we hit this one, and we ended up doing over $1 million. But coulda, shoulda, woulda. If I could go back in time, definitely could easily do $3 to $5 million in that product. There's a lot of people that were a little more savvy than me, just sort of copying exactly what we had for a funnel, and there's plenty to go around, and we certainly were the first to really push this product hard on Instagram. Definitely the first to have the proper imagery to get those high CTRs and conversion rates, and a lot of other people were able to pull hundreds of thousands, if not millions, out of Instagram by just completely copying what we had. And I feel like we should have taken a bigger piece of that pie, and in the future we will. So this was my my case study on my biggest month, and in the future I'll probably do a more in-depth case study with every little piece of this, but I might put that in a paid product, or I might put that as a bonus if I'm an affiliate for somebody else's paid course, and so that might be something that you get as a bonus for taking an action. I have a little free mini course on Instagram showing some of the tactics I use to make over $1 million on Instagram, and I'll put a link to that, and there's no obligation with that. That's just a free training that I put together over on my website. So go ahead and check that out in the description, and please leave me any comments and questions you have, and I hope you enjoyed.